My dad abandoned me at the altar for my sister's emergency that turned out to be completely fake. I was in my wedding dress when the text came through. Can't walk you down the aisle. Marissa's event is too important. Maybe I'll make the reception. My father was choosing my sister over my wedding. 3 hours before I was supposed to walk down that aisle. I threw my phone across the bridal suite and just sat there shaking. 27 years old, and I was that 13-year-old girl again, watching dad choose Marissa over everything else. When mom died, he promised me we were a team. You and me against the world, he said. I believed him for 14 years. My maid of honor, Jessica, was trying to calm me down when her phone buzzed. She went pale reading it. What now? I asked. She showed me screenshots from 3 weeks ago. My sister in a group chat laughing about how she made sure dad would choose her event over the wedding. She had planned this. Through my tears, I called Uncle Martin, dad's brother, who'd been more of a father to me than my actual father ever was. He answered on the first ring like he'd been waiting. I heard what happened, he said, his voice steady and warm. I'm 20 minutes away. It would be my honor to walk you down that aisle. When he arrived, breathless from rushing, he was carrying a small velvet box that looked older than time itself. Inside were my grandmother's pearls, the ones she wore on her wedding day in 1952. Your grandmother would have wanted you to wear these, he said, his eyes misty as he fastened them around my neck. Family isn't always genetic, sweetheart. Sometimes it's about who shows up when it matters. The ceremony was absolutely perfect. Uncle Martin walked me down that rose petal scattered aisle like he'd been preparing for this moment his entire life. His arm was steady, his presence calming. When Ethan saw us coming, he started crying openly, not from pity, but from pure joy. At the altar, Martin placed my hand in Ethan's with such gentle dignity. Take care of our girl, he whispered. At the reception, dad finally showed up halfway through dinner, hair disheveled, tie askew, carrying apologies like weapons. He looked around the room of laughing guests with uneasy eyes. You made it, I said, my voice completely flat. Traffic was absolutely brutal, sweetheart. You know how these things are, he stammered, gesturing vaguely toward the door. That's when my cousin Daniel appeared beside us with his phone screen glowing. More screenshots, but these ones were time-stamped. Marissa at a downtown bar at 4:30 p.m., the exact moment I was walking down the aisle. Selfies with drinks, laughing with friends, posting photos with captions, bragging about mission accomplished. She hadn't even pretended to have a real event. Dad's face drained of all color as he scrolled through the evidence of his daughter's deception. His hands actually started shaking. If you had known about her plan from the beginning, I asked him, my voice cutting through the reception noise, would you have chosen differently? The silence stretched forever. Guests at nearby tables had stopped talking, sensing the tension. He couldn't answer, wouldn't answer. You made your choice weeks ago, I told him, each word deliberate. Now I'm making mine. I walked back to my husband, to Uncle Martin, who was watching protectively from the bar, to my new family who had shown up when it mattered most. Dad stayed at the edge of the party all night, a shadow watching the family he'd lost through his own choices. Uncle Martin made sure he kept his distance. 2 years later, when our daughter was born after 18 hours of labor, guess who was in the delivery room holding my hand and cutting the umbilical cord? Uncle Martin, the man who'd never missed a single important moment in my life. And guess who found out about his granddaughter's birth from a Facebook post 3 days later, along with everyone else? Sometimes the family that chooses you every single day is infinitely stronger than the family that claims you but never shows up.